It's amazing when you consider how many people it takes to get an aircraft off the ground. From the gate agents, baggage handlers, ramp crew, tower, ATC, cabin, and flight crew. When a flight happens, it's because of the effort of a team of individuals. But individual knowledge and skill is not enough. Each person receives and gives information to support others. And it's this ability to do labor with others, to collaborate with a team, that is itself a key skill that keeps an airline running. If coming together is a beginning, and keeping together is progress, and working together is success, then it will be helpful to understand the characteristics of successful teams, how teams come together and evolve, and the factors that support their success. You intuitively know when a group of people are a team and when they're just a group of people. Can you put it into words? What makes the group of people on the left a team? I'm going to guess that you said something like the people on the left are a team because they're collaborating towards a common goal. And this is the classic definition of a team. You might imagine the people on the right becoming a team if, for instance, there was a medical emergency, or imagine that a small child was lost. You could imagine people suddenly working together to calm the child and look for the parents. In your life, you've surely had some team experiences, perhaps ones that were very organized and clear, like the one on the left, or others that may have been more informal, like a camping trip with friends, or organizing an event, or maybe helping people in crisis. Could you share a quick story about your experience of collaboration? It could be anything, organizing a garage sale. What made it successful? And what were the biggest challenges? To be healthy and effective, a team needs answers to 4 questions. First, why? Why are we here? Why are we a team? In organizations, this is sometimes called the vision. It's the inspiration and the reason that people are banding together. Is it to win a game? Is it to reconnect that lost child to a parent? Or is it to deliver passengers safely to their destination in comfort? Next, what are we doing about it? The why is our reason and inspiration, but the what is our goal, specific intentions, and actions. When a group of people share inspiration and a common goal, they have a mission. Having a shared sense of mission is a great beginning, but not enough to make a team function well. So the third question is how? How are we doing what we're doing? This question addresses the need for strategies, methods, tasks, and standards that direct action to achieve what we want to achieve. In an airline, some of this is found in policies and SOPs, but the minute-to-minute coordination of the how is the leader's responsibility. And of course, we need specific people, the who, to carry out those tasks, and those people have specific roles, responsibilities or duties, and relations with other people on the team. Once you know how you will carry out the mission and who's doing what, your mission has a plan. Now, in an airline, we might define these things at a very high level, such as by saying that the why, the reason for the team being a team, is to transport people safely and keep them happy and make the company profitable. But these questions also apply at a more granular level. For instance, let's imagine a loss of cabin pressure at high altitude. That would be the why, the reason or cause for what we're doing, initiating a descent. The how would be the number of related tasks, such as notifying ATC and collaborating with the in-flight team to assure passenger safety, while the who would be the specific assignments of those tasks to people. Ensuring coordination of these 4 elements is the leader's responsibility, and all of this is done through communication and monitoring to ensure that everyone who needs to know knows why things are being done, what is being done, how it's being done, and who is doing it. So this simple model is something you can take with you, and whether you're practicing leadership or good followership, make sure that the answers to these 4 questions are clear and understood. Threat and error management and crew resource management teach us to think about situational awareness. To be effective, this awareness must be shared between the flight crew. It involves an awareness of the aircraft state, systems, and any issues with the people on board, as well as an awareness of the operational environment, including weather, traffic, terrain, airport conditions, and ATC clearances. Individual awareness is built on instruments, visuals, and radio communications, but the shared awareness is built out of words. This conversation starts with flight planning and briefing and carries on through the flight, continually building a shared mental model of what's going on and coordinating the actions required to manage the situation. In fact, a recent study made clear that there's a strong relationship between performance and the language used in the flight deck. The study compared CVR data to crew performance and showed that the highest performing captains and first officers dedicated at least a third of their spoken words to problem solving. That is, sharing observations, asking questions, and coordinating activities. And all of these words build a shared mental model, that situational awareness. When a captain and first officer are in sync with each other and performing well, this flow of communication is smooth. They're actively talking through the situation, and this dialogue creates that shared awareness that keeps the aircraft safe. A good leader will include the quality of these communications in their situational awareness. So, along with the weather, clearances, aircraft state, and so forth, they'll be monitoring the functioning of the team. How well is the team working together? And what is the quality of the communications and collaboration? High-performance teams don't just appear fully formed with everyone knowing why they're together and what they're doing, how and who's responsible for what. The whole process actually has to evolve through stages of maturity. This simple model demonstrates how teams evolve. Now, as we talk through these, you might imagine your future interactions with maintenance, dispatch, and the cabin crews that you fly with, as all of these people form part of your extended team that help make the flight successful. During the initial forming stage, people meet and start to get oriented to the project, the mission, and to each other. At first, members are focused on themselves and their personal performance. They're focused on assigned tasks and the scope of their work. There's usually no conflict. That can come during the storming phase, where members start to note differences between themselves in the style that they communicate. There may be friction about the goals, roles, and responsibilities. While not every group goes through this stage, failed groups often get stuck at this phase and never get beyond struggle, tension, and conflict. If the team gets beyond this, it can go to the norming phase, where group norms are established. The team comes together around a common goal. Individual differences are resolved, and a greater spirit of cooperation emerges. Nobody really likes conflict, so the main risk in this phase is that to avoid conflict, people avoid sharing controversial ideas or insights that might upset the team. If you remember back to the lesson on cognitive biases, I bet it's clear why this can be a risk. If the group can continue to evolve so that the group goals and norms are reaffirmed, the team can reach a higher gear where they're truly performing together. In this environment, the group can work with a high degree of interdependence or autonomy, and they can handle controversial observations and ideas. Now, while SOPs help define the relationship between captain and first officer, and therefore probably help them start at the norm stage, I'm sure that you can imagine that your interactions with the cabin crew might start off before that point. Things can get complicated if there are delays or perhaps weather and turbulence that can affect when drink and meal service can occur. So while this is a simplistic model, it can be useful for thinking about where your team is at in terms of its evolution and maturity. Let me tell you why it's critical that your flight crew gets from forming to performing as quickly as possible. An NTSB report found that between 1978 and 1990, over 70% of the accidents occurred on a crew's first day flying together, and over 40% of these were on the first leg of their trip. Here's another number to add to the story. 84% of the accidents during this time involved inadequate monitoring and failure to challenge the crew member who made an error. So this means that a pilot monitoring either did not notice information that they should have or did not speak up about it. That's really amazing when you think about it. The logic of having two pilots is to reduce task saturation by sharing work. Yet in so many accidents, we see that the load was not properly shared because information was not shared. And this resulted in an error in perception or judgment not being trapped. Those numbers were shocking. I think they really demonstrate that team development is a critical skill and that mission success is really based on the health of the team. So let's take a look at high-performing teams. Beyond knowing the why, what, how, and who of a mission, what are the factors that make them really able to collaborate effectively? Groups who are able to break past norming and into the performing phase demonstrate a high degree of what is called psychological safety. That is, they have a high degree of trust and respect for each other and can express challenging opinions without fear of being punished by the group. In aviation, we call this a positive crew climate. And this positive crew climate supports and enables team learning behavior. This is basically how people find ways to work together, to learn together, and to keep that shared situational awareness we just spoke about. Team learning behavior is what gets a team from a group of individuals who just met to a group who can collaborate effectively. So if team learning behavior is based on psychological safety, what creates psychological safety? Well, it's made from three ingredients. First is familiarity and prior interaction. Every person we meet is a stranger until we know them and figure out how to get along with them. And as we do, there's less uncertainty about how to work together. So this adds to the feeling of safety because you already have a feeling of what the other person is like and how you might work together. Differences in the status of people make a difference. These status differences can be personal and cultural. There are certainly many examples of junior flight officers not wanting a captain to know that the captain has made an error, and as we just saw in the statistics about accidents, when these status differences are large, crew will feel intimidated and afraid to communicate freely for fear of insulting a captain or of making a mistake. Do you remember the leader of the Mount Everest team and his pronouncement about his word being law? While a captain has the decision and legal authority, this authority is best served when all crew feel comfortable sharing their observations and concerns. And the third ingredient is the support that the leader provides by coaching the team, supporting the team, and really helping them to be their best as individuals so that they can contribute to the overall team effort. A supportive leader knows that the long-term health of the organization is served when individuals are given guidance and encouraged to grow to attain higher levels of knowledge, skill, and professionalism. So this is about a captain giving hints and tips about a better way to achieve a maneuver or sharing a story about something that they experienced. The team will have a high sense of team efficacy. That is, They will believe that they can together overcome difficulties and succeed in a mission. It is the feeling of safety that enables the team to communicate openly and learn from each other. In a large airline, every day can bring together a new team that needs to form, storm, norm, and perform. The accident rates that I just mentioned were clearly related to the fact that crews hadn't gelled. They weren't effectively working as teams. Those statistics were part of the reason that CRM and TEM disciplines were developed in the first place, and they've gone a long way to handling this issue. But ensuring that a team is working together is the responsibility of the leader. At each phase, leaders can do specific things to help the team evolve so that they both know the why, what, how, and who of the mission and have that feeling of psychological safety so that they can perform well together. Here are a few examples of things that leaders can do to create the conditions to make that happen. During team formation, leaders have a key role in inspiring others by setting an overall tone of open communication and modeling appropriate behavior. They coordinate the what's, how's, and who's, and try to bring clarity and peace of mind to the team. If the team ends up storming, it's often because of a lack of clarity around the roles, responsibilities, and working styles. So a leader will try to clarify these and resolve interpersonal conflicts and coach the team on how to perform together. During norming, the risk is that people avoid conflict. They want to avoid it so badly that they under-communicate. And so a leader needs to encourage dialogue so that people aren't just avoiding conflict, but actually communicating. And they want to empower the team so that as trust grows, individuals feel truly accountable and able to tackle the job at hand. Finally, when a team is truly performing, leaders can participate and monitor to maintain the overall health of the team. Of course, this isn't a linear flow. A team's health can increase and then degrade because of stress, fatigue, or personal issues. So, monitoring the quality of communication and collaboration, adding it to your situational awareness, is a way to ensure that the team is more than a group of individuals, but rather a group with a common mission and plan. So, one of a leader's jobs is to build and maintain group efficacy. That is, the team's belief in itself and its ability to work together and succeed. Some of the techniques that leaders use to build and maintain this group efficacy are enabling effective communications by setting an appropriate tone and soliciting feedback, quality briefings, including mission planning, in-flight ops, and briefings with the flight attendants, and departure and approach briefings, timely contingency planning so that the team is not overwhelmed by surprises, workload management to avoid task saturation, and prioritizing crew situational awareness so that everyone is sharing the same mental model about what is going on with the flight. I'd like to do a quick activity with you that I hope will bring home some of the things that we've just been talking about. So for this activity, you should have a handout, which we'll look at in a minute. Here's the list of your surviving equipment. You should have a handout with these items. So pause the video and take a few minutes to rank the items in terms of their importance. In other words, the most important is a 1, second most is a 2. And once you've done this, I'll ask you to break into at least 2 groups and take maybe about 10 minutes to try to establish a ranking as a group. This will take some discussion and listening to different points of view. Okay, are you ready? Pause the video now and start ranking. Okay, let's see how you did against the brightest minds that NASA has to offer. Here are their rankings. You can see that oxygen is the most pressing of survival needs. And of course, weight isn't a factor on the moon. Then water and stellar maps. And the list goes on down to a box of matches as number 15, which is worthless as there is no oxygen. Now, what does this activity teach us? Well, if you really want to compare scores, the way to do this is to count the difference between what you or your group said and what the scientists said. In other words, if you gave a box of matches a 1 and NASA said it was a 15, then you would count the difference of 15 points. Also, you would be a terrible astronaut. If you ranked oxygen number 1, like the NASA geniuses, you would have a different score of 0. And in this case, lower scores are better. Feel free to do the math later on, and you can do this both for your individual score and for your group score. But what did we learn? Well, in most cases, groups score higher than individuals. When people express and are open to different points of view, the quality of thinking and collaboration increases because people can learn from each other. And the amount of this increase, this ability to learn together, is related to the psychological safety that the group feels. The crew climate. It's that sense that team members have that they're allowed to contribute, to share contrary points of view, and that they can do this in safety without fear of being punished by a leader or by the group. Mission success is always the result of a team effort. The leader is responsible for ensuring that the crew climate allows the team to be able to communicate and coordinate effectively so that they can work together. So, in summary, here are 3 questions that you can ask yourself about your team. First, does everyone understand the why, what, how, and who of the mission? Second, what phase of development is the team currently in? Are they forming, storming, norming, or truly performing? Third, what techniques should I be using to increase and maintain the team's efficacy? As an aviation leader, you want to be a master at team building, at creating positive crew climate, and ensuring that everyone is able to work together to ensure mission success.